Hello and welcome to this Long Island snow event alert, you could say. Today, very warm day, a lot of kind of wet, still very damp and humid out there. Actually, the rain's moved out, but we are dealing with some fog because the ground's kind of chilly and we have very humid air in place. So we have all this fog that has developed in some areas. It's patchy, but some areas are reporting some fairly dense fog. So let's go to that weather and hazards map, which I guess I did not put on the screen. And you'll see here the winter storm warnings off to the northwest of the city. Winter weather advisories over Long Island and New York City, and to the south over the Jersey Shore, no advisories whatsoever. So then they're probably not going to see very much. So we are dealing with the fog right now. So if we look at, we have 0.25 visibility. Wow, quarter mile visibility at Islip. So there is some dense fog out there. I'm surprised that there is not a dense fog advisory because there is definitely some dense fog out there. The air is pretty moist out there. We had that rain. We don't have much wind to move things along. Highs for the day. We'll go over that, and then we'll talk about the storm. But let's go to the highs for the day. Mid 40s, and I don't think the lows dropped very much. Well, we actually did get down to 34 at Islip and 16 at West Hampton, so I guess the clouds kind of came in a little bit later and was able to, were able to get some radiational cooling. There may have been some fog when there was some radiational cooling, probably, which wouldn't surprise me if there was fog there. They're also reporting a quarter mile visibility at Gabreski Airport as well. And the dew points are up there. Dew points are, well, Gabreski's reporting dew point at 32. Well, let's see when they got down this morning down to that. I wonder if they had fog. No, they did not have fog. All right, but we are getting fog tonight. Let's look at the amount of rain that has fallen. It's not a tremendous amount. Quarter of an inch generally across the area, across Long Island, even less than that over Jersey. So we have the winter storm warning in effect for the areas to the north and west. We'll go over the briefing here from the Weather Service. So winter storm warnings are up there, up to the north and the west. They're forecasting 3 to 5 inches of snow, highest toward New York City Metro and coastal Connecticut, and 6 inches away from the coast inland. This is their snowfall map, right? So it's their snowfall map, and then it's going to get very cold after the snow is done. All right, but we're mainly talking about the snow here in this video. So you can see here's our storm taking shape on the satellite. Let's go to the weather map here. You'll see, again, here's our storm taking shape again. Here's the cold front, the Arctic front that's coming through. There's like a bit of energy behind. You can see on the satellite that's going to help form a low pressure system along the front. That's going to move close to, or there's always the variable here that we have. And I have some models to look at here, and we're going to, we still don't have quite an agreement, and even from run to run there is such variation. This is the O20, O2Z and this is the 0Z one. And the O2, the later one, is weaker with the low. And honestly, it doesn't have the look like it's going to be a very strong low pressure system, in my opinion. All right, but we will show you the 0Z first. All right, so cloudy tonight, and then it begins tomorrow. It's maybe a little bit of light rain in the afternoon, and then it changes over to snow as we get toward the evening, and then we get a couple of hours of snow falling behind the low here. This is what it has, and it's not terribly impressive, but you do see perhaps some banding over Suffolk County on this particular run. However, like I said, there's a lot of run-to-run variation, and that is the issue. Dew points and wind flow. Here's your dew points and wind flow. So as we go into tonight here, you see the wind slowly get to the northwest. The dew points the winds again go east. That's a problem. East winds right off the warmer than normal oceans for the coastal areas generally don't favor snow, especially when we're dealing with the water temperatures. Let's see what they are. Let's see if we can get a water temperature here. Water temperature is 44 degrees, so yeah, water temperatures are a little above normal, so not tremendously above normal, but that's enough to keep, I think, from it changing over to snow until we see the wind shift to the north after 8 o'clock or so. Then we'll start seeing the snow, and the winds are going to pick up when that happens. according to the HRRR model here that we have with us. All right, and that's the dew points. All right, so looking at your actual air temperatures, we're above. We slowly drop tomorrow, but we still get up to close to 40 degrees, I think. And then it's going to take a while for that colder air to come on in. It will come in on the back side. But that, I feel, is going to hold back the accumulations a little bit. All right? That's it, compared to what other people are saying about this storm. I have the NAM for you, too, so go ahead and look at that. And here's the NAM. And the NAM's got some, of course, the NAM being the NAM, always has like a bunch of really dark blues just popping up over Long Island like that. That's the NAM being the NAM. Whether that actually happens or not, could be a thunderstorm over there. I don't know if I'm buying that. I think it's a little too overdone. But you can see there, you can see the NAM there, and the temperatures at this time would be still just above freezing. So it's a really tricky storm to forecast. If the NAM is right, then you'd get a good pulse of snow at the end. So if I move this to the end, you'll see it has some areas of the east end seeing over 6 inches of snow, which I'm not buying at all. I think this is overdone. All right. HRRR, which we can look at here as well, does the same thing as the NAM. It's HRRR, and this particular run of the HRRR is doing the same thing as the NAM. All right, but it has a very sharp cutoff, as you see here. All right. I leave the RGEM. All right. I usually don't look at the RGEM, but this is somewhat, I kind of agree with what the RGEM has here. All right. Because the slow isn't going to be all that strong until it starts moving away. And so that onshore flow, I just don't see coastal areas. I see coastal areas dealing with some rain, and then it changes to snow. So part of it's going to be rain, and then the second part is going to be snow. That's kind of like what I agree with here at this point. We have the FV3 too. Look at that, GFS. And you can see it's got a couple of thumps in there toward the end. But again, we've got to watch those temperatures and the wind flow. The winds are still east. That's an issue. All right. The winds have to go to the north before we see that changeover. Let's go look at this again. You'll see, again, the winds have to go to the north. Once they go to the north, then we'll have the column in a good state for snow toward the end of the storm. So the back end, the question is how much are we going to get in that back end thump? Because honestly, I think that's going to be the most impressive part of the storm, is the back end as it's pulling out. Now we can look at the total accumulated on here. Actually, this I tend to agree with here. This is actually fairly close to what I agree with here. There's going to be a sharp cutoff. That's the question, is where that sharp cutoff is. That is the question. So this is what we have right now. Honestly, looking at all the different information we have, I'll go and we'll go to the NAM 12, and this is the NAM 12, and look at the FGen. So whatever it is, it sets it up east. I'm not sure I'm buying that. All right. GFS. It's the 0Z GFS. Don't have enough of that in yet. This is the GFS. Has a little more of it off to the north. All right. So that's what it's looking like right now. Now the storm. Go to Ventu Sky here, and we'll just visualize what's going to happen as we get around that. This is the HRRR's output, obviously. You can see the colder air rushing in on the back end of it here, all right? And it will get breezy at times once the storm kind of... That's the other issue. It will be when the snow when we do get that back end thump, the winds are going to be blowing that snow around a little bit. So it's going to get a little treacherous out there tomorrow night. I think that's when you're going to see your most treacherous conditions, like after 8 o'clock, all right? So let's look at the map I created. And yeah, that's the fog. I showed you that already. This is the map I created. And this is what I think we're going to see. All right. Honestly, I think the highest amounts will be to the north and west New York City. We're going to have 5 to 7 inches. A general 2 to 4 inches over New York City, Nassau County. Maybe some isolated spots on the North Shore could see 5 inches perhaps. Uh, and then South Shore, South Fork, South Shore, Suffolk, South Fork, I'm thinking an inch to possibly, well, this could be up to perhaps, just draw this in here. This could be up to like maybe 2 to 3 over here in this particular spot. But generally speaking, I don't think it'll be as much toward the South Shore. This could dive down. It all depends on the back end thump, which is very hard to predict. But I think that if you're in Ocean County, Jersey, Toms River, you might only see an inch of snow. And then south of that, probably a trace. So it's going to be a very sharp cutoff where the snow falls. So it's a very challenging forecast because of the temperatures, the borderline temperatures, how strong the low is going to be. But this will be a plowable snow for, I think, almost all of us, except maybe south of Toms River. But I think that it will be a plowable snow for most areas, and it will be I don't think that part. I don't think Long Island is going to see over 6 inches of snow. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe some areas could see as much as 5, but I just think the temperatures are just kind of borderline, and it's going to take a little while for that snow to accumulate onto the ground, and that most of that's going to happen once we get toward after 8 o'clock and that cold air comes in as the storm is pulling out. But you still could possibly get a nice thump at the end, which could give perhaps as much as 4, maybe even 5 inches. Particularly, I'm thinking this area here. I'll just draw a little bit of. It all depends on how high you are, but on these morainal hills right here, perhaps right here, you could see 5 inches around that area. All right, so that's what I got for you. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Again, this is going to start off kind of wet, and then it's going to turn white as we get toward the end of the day. And toward the evening, that's when things are going to ramp up, I think, as the storm pulls out. That's when we'll get that thump on the backside, I think. So if you're looking to see some snow coming down, your best bet is probably any time between like 7, 8 o'clock and 10, 11 o'clock at night, probably, for that. So let's just look one more time at our statistics for the day for ice slip. No surprise, we're above normal. A high 44, low 34. Puts us 8 degrees above normal for today. We will be getting much colder than that. We'll talk about all of that tomorrow night as we watch the snowstorm, this snow event affect our area. But again, will it be it'll be a significant snow. The more snow we've seen in a while, but I don't think we'll exceed 6 inches on Long Island. This is a winter weather advisory event, and actually I agree with pretty much how this map lines up here. So that's going to wrap up this weather update on the winter storm. Good night.